for the session 2, Dr. A. Murugarajan, Professor and Head of the Department of Robotics and Automation, Sri Ramakrishna Engineering College, Coimbatore. Dr. A. Murugarajan is currently Professor, Head of the Department of Robotics and Automation at Sri Ram.
Yeah, I think your voice is breaking, man.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Where it is? Yeah, no, it is live.
Sir, I'm audible, sir?
Yeah, now it's okay.
So, Dr. A. Murugarajan, the speaker of the session 2, is currently a professor at the department in robotics and automation at Sri Ramakrishna Engineering College, Coimbatore. He received his PhD in mechanical engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, presently Chennai. So, he has obtained his master's degree in industrial engineering, and he is a university gold medalist, and he has obtained bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering with distinction from Bhartiyar University, Coimbatore. And also, he has completed MBA in Operations Management in IGNOU, New Delhi. He has 20 years of experience, academic experience, and 5 years of research experience. His major fields of interest are in the area of mechanical measurements and metrology, optimization techniques in engineering and operation management, predictive data analytics, machine tool metrology using sensors, and natural fiber composite manufacturing. He has published 24 research papers in reputed international journals and conferences. He has been associated with industrial consultancy projects by SREC Innovation Center. He is a technical member and reviewer of peer-reviewed international journals. He is currently guiding 4 research scholars and 3 PhD theses awarded under him. He has been invited as chairperson and resource person in conference, symposiums, and workshops organized by various institutions. He is actively involved in MBA accreditation process and program facilitator and mentor for MBA outcome-based assessment. So, in behalf of Rajareshwari Group of Institutions, Rajareshwari College of Engineering, and behalf of participants, I welcome Dr. A. Murugarajan for the session 2. Over to you, sir.
So thank you, organizer. Thank you. So good morning to everyone present here. I'm happy to associate with this particular 5 days adult FDP faculty developed program on lean manufacturing in industry 4.0 scenario. First of all, I have to thank my mentor and teacher, Dr. Karthikeyan sir, to inviting me and giving me the opportunity to talk in this particular FDP, and also thank the management and principal of Rajareshwari College of Engineering. So before, I think my PPT is visible now. Have any problem, please? Adisa, I think my PPT is visible now.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Before I'm starting my presentation, I think is one of the interesting topic because for the last 5 decades we have been talking about the lean production or lean thinking or lean manufacturing, but still there is a technological changes happening in each and every decade. But thing is how we have to start the lean concept. That's what one of the interesting concept of this particular FDP. I think I have to try my best to highlighting these important things of lean and how it will fit with the industry 4.0 from my perspective. Because previous session is handled by lean basic concepts. I'm also going to start with some kind of basic with the lean. Then I have to go a little bit on how the industry are looking on this particular aspect. Okay. So in between also, if you have any questions, please you can raise your hand, and also you can ask your questions also. So I go to next slide. So my contents of my presentation will leads to first of all, why the lean and how we are going to implement the lean. This is one of the major question, because lean tools, lean methods are because of the technological changes, as I told, all the technological changes happening in every year, how the lean principles and to be implemented deployed in the industry. That's one of the challenging tasks for each and every industry. And directly I go with one of the lean tools and lean and work studies tools, one of the major one, because work study, which we have been already have been talking, but now it comes in different form. Because wherever the industry, you know that a lot of surveys and lot of reports, they have been talking about the in industry in India, only 1% of industries they're talking about the lean principles. So this is what is happening. I'll come by one, and we have been talking about the principles of lean. Then one of the case studies I'm going to talk about in lean deployment in industry, and finally I'm going to talking about the lean 4.0. That's what the lean automation, how it is going to fit with industry 4.0. So I'm going to highlighting these are the important points in my presentation on this particular section. So if you have any questions also, you can ask. So you know that so whatever we have in work, any work is being done, whatever the activity, whatever we are doing. So ultimately we are generating the waste. Even if we are sitting simply or watching something. So whatever activity we are doing, so how we are effectively utilizing the resources, and other elements which is present for the activity, parallelly we are generating the waste. So that's what is very, very important. So waste being always be generated. But thing is a business point of view. So the customer does not pay for the waste, because whatever we are wasting, because when you are creating any product from the raw material, so the scrap is developing. But thing is, ultimately the product is very important, because the product, what are the shape of the product, this is only interested by the customer. But thing is how we are going to take those kind of scrap or those kind of waste, but how we are going to minimize the waste. The other important question is how we are going to minimize this particular waste. That's what the major concept of lean is, only the one word concept. So how we are going to minimize the waste. You know that the currently as a business is very, very competitive, because relatively high due to this COVID-19 situation. Also before that also the companies are looking at different perspective, but thing is after the COVID-19 and during the pandemic situation, so each and every company looking for to take the how we are going to take the decision of their manufacturing the parts components with the good quality with the less cost. But thing is how we are going to minimize the air waste, because if they want to make a better performance, so they have to always minimizing the waste of the part manufactured. So it is depends upon only the what kind of technology, what kind of resources they used for it. That's one of the best one of the most important factor, one of the critical factor. But what kind of technology, what kind of resources they are using to minimizing their waste, because each and every company they must to find ways to develop their business in order to increase their competitiveness. And other important thing is the sustainable business practices, because we are heard from, because we are connecting with a lot of consultancy work with the industry. So they have coming with the solution for the any kind of automation. But thing is they're talking about the low cost automation. It will go a little bit also higher side. They are asking for low cost intelligent automation. That's what most of the industries they are looking about if you want to sustain in the any kind of business, not only for the manufacturing, but each and every field. If you go with the healthcare industry, if you go with automobile industry, if you go with the food industry, so everywhere they are talking about how they're going to sustain their business. For that, how we are going to wastage, how we are going to minimize their wastages. That's what when talking about survival of a business, how we are going to reducing your operation cost is one of the critical factor. So each and every industry they're looking about how you are going to reducing your cost. So if you want to reducing your operation cost, so lean is the best way to making your to achieve your goals. That's what, because you can use any number of technology, but thing is how we are going to use your lean principle, how we are going to transforming towards the lean, because this has been talking for last 3 to 4 decades from each and every industry, but the practical feasibilities, That is what I'm going to highlighting. What are the practical feasibilities and what are the transformations in this particular lean automation and the lean manufacturing. So when I'm talking about the lean manufacturing or lean production, but thing is the most important factor is you have to analyze it. So how we are going to start to analyzing your activities which is involved in your manufacturing. So whether it's maybe a activity which is more valuable to your end product or maybe a non-value activity which is not at all come in the picture when you're going to assessing your product, end product. The thing is how we are going to reducing the unwanted or how we are going to eliminating those activities. That's what whenever the activities involved is directly proportional to the cost, whether it's maybe a value added or maybe a non-value added. So this particular sense only we have been talking about how we are going to categorize the activities with maybe value added or non-value in each and every manufacturing situation. Not only I told as I told already the manufacturing, not only manufacturing, each and every activity what we are doing to connecting the end product with to for the customer purposes. Okay, so in a globalization, you know that each and every industry they're adopting new tools from their perspective. So whatever the techniques, but the thing is how we are going to these techniques we're going to implement in the industry. The first question. The second thing is how it will be competitive and how we are going to measure those implementation and deployment of your whatever your technology or new tools or methods. But finally, how these technologies, how these tools to be survive in the market. That's one of the major one. So if you are talking about the MNCs, they're somewhat they're around from 17 to 18% as per the studies from one of the report. The globalization they're talking about 17% they survive in the market, but thing is rest of them still there is a scope, the opportunity they have to implement the principle in different form. But thing is ultimately they're talking about the lean, but they have used the different terminologies. That's what the now the whatever the rapid growing manufacturing, the culture, rapid growing culture in any globalization market or globalization industries, the industry 4.0, we cannot go without this because now they're talking about all integration of your production field to connecting with the cloud and connecting with the network, and they can taking all the data informations and taking the decision making. So we cannot avoid because we are start from our mobile phone wearing these smart watches. So ultimately you give you some kind of information. Similarly, when you are applying to the lean principles, so that's what integrating the automation technology into the lean automation will lead to the one of the best solutions for to making your better productivity or getting your minimizing your waste, and you can go to survive in the market. That's what the lean automation will come in the picture. This is one of the suitable topic for the current scenario in industries. Industries are looking about the lean automation. But thing is how there's a what extent, because whether all industries can adapt this one. But the thing is still the question mark. That's why I told already only 1% of industries they started to working on the lean automation. Okay, so that's what as I told, lean has a very extensive collection of tools and the n number of concepts. That's what this is the 4 decades before they started about these lean principles. But thing is still we have been asking the question, where should you have to begin your lean? So that's what one of the most important question, whether it's maybe increasing your productivity, increasing your quality, you are reducing your cost, how you are going to make it your profitability. That's what one of the most question one. The finally, how the customers be smiled or how the customers should be happy with your product with the less cost and maximum benefit. Because if you're going to buy any mobile phone, we are always looking about simply, so I have a 15,000 rupees for budget, but I am expecting 6 GB RAM or something. So we need a maximum performance. So how you're going to manufacture, that's what how effectively you have to make your design. So how we are going to minimize the wastages? So each and every company they are looking about in this one. That's what we all have some of the courses conducted on Lean and Six Sigma certification courses under the MSME. They are also doing some kind of training programs. In particular, with Lean and Six Sigma for software industry, also they're looking about these principles. How when you're going to writing your code and delivering with the customer end. So in between the n number of processes are there, how we are going to minimize it, how we are going to unwanted persons or unwanted operators, unwanted product, unwanted machines. So how we are going to remove this all when you're going to analyze it. That's what one of the major factor which is involved when talking about the lean. So now the important topic also we have to discuss in futuristic point of view also. The companies have a long-term goal. They have to looking about the finding way to align the present activities and also how we are going to utilize their managers or employees or supervisors to effectively to fit into the lean system. That is one of the major task, because lean is a system, it's a process, how we are going to make an end product become suitable for the customer's perspective. Okay? So come to the next one is when I have been talking about the lean, before we have to talking about the lean, you should know that so value added activities and non-value added activities, these are the most important one. So whenever we have been talking about the any work, most of the time the products are related with only sorry, I think I have a call. Sorry, very sorry. Okay. So when talking about the value added activity or non-value activity, but thing is you should always concentrate on so how the activities which is essential directly leads to your end product. Some of the activities non-essential, some of the activities maybe we can minimize it. So we have to concentrate on the activities which is directly getting the results of end product, or what are the activities are essential, but we have to minimize it. So we have to categorize it. But generally, what happening this generally only the 5% activities of any kind of a job is only a value added. So remaining are 95%. But thing is, it depends upon the job or activity what we are doing. So that's what how we are going to categorize it. The first thing is you have to identify, then you have to eliminate it. That's what we have studied. Most of them are mechanical engineers. You should know that we studied in work study and method study and time study. These are the concepts which have evolved for the last 4-5 decades. But thing is, it comes from the different form. Then starts from the low cost automation. So automations are based on the work system engineering, at which you have to study the and observe the existing system, at which where you have to eliminate and where you have to minimize the human intervention, at which you have to start and you can doing your process. That's why they talk mostly they're talking about the activities which are essential and directly involved added to the value to the product, but the activities are non-essential, you should be eliminated. How we are going to eliminate it? That's what we have to use the different kind of principles. That's what they're talking about the lean principles, lean manufacturing. We have been talking about only on the how we are going to minimize your wastages, whether it's maybe an operator or machine or a transportation or the motion. So whatever maybe is that. But thing is how we are going to identify the non-essential. The person who's waiting, suppose person who's waiting, even in our field also, the students are waiting for the faculty, or students are waiting for the getting signature from the head of the department. So these are the things are the generally, if you have any activity, it is not at all having any kind of added the value. So how we are going to minimize those activities? So what kind of mechanism, whether it's maybe a digital mechanism or maybe some kind of mechanism, it is going to help you for the customer, because students are our customers. So how we are going to benefit our student or customer in the perspective, we have to talk on value added and non-added activity. That's what, as I told, the green always shows that how we are going to transform your material, information, decisions, and risk. So these are the directly involved in your product work. And also the customer requirement also. So what are the activity related to the customer's wants? So that's also it takes to the value added activity. The same thing also, third point is very important point. But thing is, we should give your the things on the right time. That's a very because always lean manufacturing is mainly focused on getting the right things to the right place at the right time at the right quantity to achieve the perfect workflow of when you are going to minimizing your wastages. That's a way as right as possible. That's why the word is very important. As right as possible, you should give the right time, right quantity. So this is all activities which is involved. Whatever the points I'm saying is a value-added activity. But other activities, is supporting activity or enabling activity, because it won't create anything. But thing is, we cannot avoid it, because the we are going to taking some kind of policy or thinking or team coordination or reporting. So, or you are going to schedule your activity, recording your activity. So waiting for to sometimes to process to be happen in these major machine tools. So it needed, but how we are going to eliminate this activity? That's also we can say is a ready activity. That's called, we can say, yellow circle is generally we call needed or enabling activity. Non-valued activity generally we called wastages. So it consumes most of the resources but creates a no value to the customer. So mostly we're talking about the inventory point of view, mostly because customer only are ordering two, or you know that average daily two components are requirement, but you are manufactured 30-40 for the month. You are expecting that production, as per the production planning, you are predicting that 30-40 components are needed for the next month. So like that, if you are starting your making your inventory and waiting time in each and every station, any one station we have any critical component manufacturing or critical components, so we are waiting time is okay, but other machine, other processes, unnecessary time to wasting in waiting for more time, then maybe killing the productivity. So that waiting times, the motion of your product and maybe working process. So these are the very important one. Defects also. So how we are going to avoid the defects during your process, whether it's maybe inline or in process conditions, what kind of monitoring system, because unnecessary the person who's coming to take a traditional way of making a measurement and inspection and making a report. So these things are not at all having any kind of valued activity, no non-valued activity. It's always wastages. How we are going to minimize this activity when we are taking a list of processes, list of steps which is involved to converting a raw material to a process. Okay, so that's what how we are going to categorize it. So that's what, as I told already, so the pure wastages, that's what you have to categorize into pure wastages. So and the activities which is transforming into the direct product or maybe a shape or whatever, maybe how the you are going to design your component and manufacturing component directly linked to the customer's point of view. The customer asking a pizza with the shape of the different flavors, maybe cheese pizza or something. So how we are the company to producing directly the whatever the customers want. So directly they're manufacturing within just in time and to collect by the Swiggy operator, then finally it reach to your place within this 20 to 30 minutes of time. So that's the way they started to making the how the lean principles can be used in the Swiggy and so on too. Then the other incidental work is maybe how the technological changes and the thinking of the sorting of steps which is involved. So that's called incidental work. So generally these things are very important one, but thing is how we are going to minimize. That's the way we talking about the activities of value and non-value. For example, I think we have to take the iron bar and stored in a temporary storage. We want to machine it for doing some kind of processes. It involves cutting, building, milling, and painting, and finally goes to the delivery. But thing is, it is in the inventory. So the customer need only two components, two iron bars. But thing is, it may be inventory have a huge. So how we are going to categorize those activities? That's one of the major one. So such a way you have to start from. So iron bar stored in a temporary storage. So it cost and the space occupation, everything will come into the picture. So this called is a non-valid activity. So you have to categorize it, how many number of activities. So and also the cost involved. I'm not talking about the cost involved here. It's only have to identify the non-value and value-added activities. Then you have to cut it to the record shape. I have to inspect that whether it is in the as per the design shape, as per the design. So whether is a proper diameter or not. Then we have to cutting for the particular length. So this is directly involved. Then it may be happening in the shop floor. So we have to go is a value add activity because you have to record to the shape. You have to cut it. Similarly, once you cut it, the remaining portion to be stored in the to be moved to the your station, you move to the inventory or maybe stores. So that's also not, sir. Sir, sorry, hear my voice, sir. Sir, Katin, sir. Katin, sir. Sir, you hear my voice? Sir. Katin, sir.
Yes, it's audible. Proceed.
So, okay, sir. I think somebody have called. That's why.
Okay.
Okay. I think so you have to categorize into non-value added and value added activity. So it starts from the inspection and cutting is a value added product. Similarly for rolling and welding. So whatever you have to connect it. So sorry, that activity is also a value added activity. Then the next it goes to the next operation. So it has the particular component to be waiting for some time. The because the component already we are pre-processed it, we are cutted and inspected and doing some kind of welding, whatever the requirement. Sorry. So it may be waiting, it maybe goes for the next operations are machining in lathe, but thing is we have to waiting time. So how we are going to minimizing the waiting time, but anyways waiting in between the station to other station or process one to second process. So that time and the cost is very important. So how much time is waiting and relatively the cost is involved. So and also number of quantities. So based on this, that may be activity we call in under the transportation or work in process, always called non-value activity. Then the next thing is machining lathe. Once it is in loaded in the machine tool and the lathe, so it's performing a job. It takes 3 to 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Then once job is over, so that activity, the 5 minutes activity, the relative cost, they have called as a value added activity. Then it goes for the next operation. So there the milling station already loaded, but thing is the waiting, the work in process, the semi process condition is waiting in the station. So that time and cost also the non-valued activity. The similarly for it next, if you are loaded in the machine tool, so that we call the value added activity and waiting for the transporting to the next station for painting there. So we have to wait for some time to load, and we have to prepare it for the particular material. So the transportation and the working, because we have to choose what customer want, which color customer wants. So these kind of things are coming in the picture. Then finally, the painting is done as per the recommended by the customer. Then goes to the delivery section. That's everything's fine. So we have to categorize. So how many number of activities and time involved and the cost involved and the worker involved. How we are going to communicating to the worker. The customer need this particular color. Customer need this particular dimension. How we have to inform to the operator and the shop floor supervisor and the how we are going to design by the particular by the design engineer, R&D engineer. So it starts from there, but thing is how we are going to categorize into the value added and non-value. Here I'm talking about only from the inventory to the dispatch. So almost 4 to 5 non-value activities. But how we are going to reduce those activities? That's only one of the major questions here. So this is a simple example. So like that, you have to whatever activity you are listing, you have to categorize into the value added non-value activity, at which you have to categorize it how number of percentage it is going to consume your non-valued activity. So come to the from this particular point of view. So why we have to go for the B? That's one of the major question, because Why, sir? Because n number of technologies. If you want to do something, I want to go to the Chennai, so I can use my car, I can use my bus, I can use my train, I can go by airplane. But thing is, why? I can go by any board, but how? What's the way I have to go for the lead? Because based on your cost, based on your time, based on the resources you should have, based on this, you have to choose effectively what's in your packet. That's what one of the major one here. That's what we're going for the lead. So there we have been talking about anything that adds the cost to the product without any adding the value. So that's what we want to go for the lead. So how we have to go with the lean. So before we go to go the lean, there's a long stories there. So the stories started from late 90s only. They started about the Toyota production system. There they implementing about the lot of Kaizen Kanban system principles and Toyota production system. Mostly in Toyota Motors they started here. But thing is, in Ford they started in 1913 and 14 itself. The Ford started with the synchronized way of to assembling the Ford cars. They started, but thing is they started different way. But thing is, 1950s owner person from the Toyota, they started about the lean principle. So how we are going to make to minimize our manufacturing your component with minimizing the waste. That's what the lean is come from, method of making a manufacturing process more efficient. It is a collection of synchronized methods. It's not a one method. There are n number of methods. We have to hybridization and automation and using the various lean principles and controlling your production site. So that's why they're talking about the lean is one of the major method to making your manufacturing become more efficient. It describes in different way, but it's depends upon the people only. But thing is, technology independent way how your production has to be organized, and it can be processed and handled in reach to shortest lead time. That's a very important one, because whatever we can say, but how technologically and independent way of to handling your process and to reach your product with the shortest lead time when the customer is ordered, and finally your end product come with the shortest time and with the minimum cost and better quality. So that's what one of the major principles they have been talking about in the lean. So it is a philosophy, it is a system, it is a process, is only to eliminate the waste and defining the value for your customer perspective. That's one of the major ones. So eliminating the waste and defining the value for your customer's perspective. And when talking about the lean, when it's only the observation which we have rooted by n number of steps which is involved. So we can go and see, because nowadays we can talk about the cameras are there. So from the camera vision system, they have recording the vision systems, they monitoring. But in camera also we have to go with a lot of n number of softwares, algorithms to categorize and convert into a number of elements at which you have to identify, you have to analyze the situation and where the problem occurs. Then finally you have to find out the solution for the particular problem. So that's what the lean is start from rooted in observation one. So that's what as I told already, a lean is a system, not an event. So it's not only a particular activity, it's a total entire system and process. So it's the entire system and process. Continuously we are trying for the improvement, whether it's maybe improvement for your entire productivity or for improvement of your people, but finally it comes to a continuous improvement and learning. Maybe you can say learning and training, whatever you can say, but how we are going to increasing your productivity and increasing your quality, getting your higher quality product and satisfying your customer needs. So that's what the lean, when you're going to go with the lean, it mainly depends upon the people. Whatever your technology, whatever your observation, whatever your methodology tools you are using, but it depends upon the people how we have to use the lean principle in the any kind of activity. There are a lot of stories are there. So lean manufacturing is a systematic approach and can complete in the shortest cycle time, eliminating the process. These are the common one. These are common definitions. N number of definitions are there. But thing is, ultimately, it focuses on eliminating the waste. Then the main principle of the lean mainly focus on your zero waiting time. That's very, very important one. Zero waiting time, zero inventory, and internal customer, we can say internal customer pull instead of push, and reduce the batch size. That's very, very, because when you are scheduling, how you are going to reduce your batch sizes and process times. So that's what mostly we have to talk. So we are, there is one of the major problem here when talking about the, when we are going to the industries, when talking about to studying, observing their process, we want to make a run some kind of automation. Suddenly the people, those who are working there, they're starting about, they want to remove their people. So that's what eliminating the people. The problem is most of the industry, recently I have visited some of the companies in Coimbatore. There they have been talking about the people, 4 to 5 people working on to dispatching and loading the some of the components. But thing is, they need yeah, assistance of some kind of yeah, machines at which they have to reducing their work. So, but thing is, they're thinking different way, and also we have to implement some kind of a low cost automation, because the industries are mainly looking about the low cost automation rather than, because they cannot find out the people. They have a number of orders, but the problem is the finding the right people, skilled laborers, and the labor shortages. They're facing this particular problem. So that's what the lean production only, the thing is only to how we are going to value to the customer, fulfilling the requirements of the customer needs, but not eliminating the people. But problem is, when you're going for the lean, when you're asking about this one, because very simple, when you're sitting in the room, we are leaving the room, we have to switch off your fan. But thing is, how we have to do systematically, how we are going to make a practice, how we are giving you this kind of training. If you're asking to the people, I know that, like that, they simply they will say, so they have to avoid us. That's a problem. So this is one of the major problem. But ultimately, the lean manufacturing is one of the thumb rule for most of the industries. They start already, they have 3 to 4 decades they started, they're working on this, and but still the long way to go. Most of the industries, as I told, only 1% to 10% of industries are only they started working on the lean manufacturing and lean automation and lean Six Sigma concepts. Okay, come to the when you're talking about the optimist point of view, when you're talking about the lean manufacturing point of view, so the optimist always talking about the glasses of full. So based on the viewing what we are saying, the glass is of filled. As optimistic always says that, but the pessimistic when talking about, the pessimistic always talking about the glasses of empty. So he's always talking about it's not filled, it's only the half empty. But thing is, the lean thinking point of view, we always talking about why unnecessary, because the why the glass is twice as big it should be. So the lean thinking point of view, you should think in this way. You have to start to observing the existing system. You should think in this way to reducing your, minimizing your weight, because you are consuming only a half amount of water. So why cannot you can manufacture a glass with a size of 10 ml or 15 ml or 200 ml? So if we are taking a 100 ml glass, so the person is only consuming 60 ml, remaining 40 ml, whatever your glass manufactured, it should be a cost and resources are based. So this is where you have to start lean thinking to implement in any kind of process. So that's what, if you go with any kind of food industry nowadays, they're talking about we are going to dosas also. Dosa size are varying, the same cost, but they're making it differently. So this is what they started on. Just one example like that for the manufacturing industries. They're looking about the fixtures, single minute of exchange dies. There are so many exchangeable dies, just-in-time concepts they implemented. This is a way they're talking about the lean thinking. So when talking about lean thinking in valuable and non-valuable activity, but you should always thinking about does it change the product? That's a, because you should know what's the waste in this particular process. That's one of the most important questions, because everywhere they have talking about any activity, because anyone can ask this question. So what's the waste? So every process have waste. But thing is, we only looking for how it is going to minimize your waste, and how the waste can be bad by the customer or not, or it can be reworked, it can be alternate, it may be re-changed into some other shape or not. So that's one of the question one. So that's what we always created the value, how what are the activity what we are doing is whether the particular activities directly related to the value to your customer or not, with respect of cost and performance and product aspect. Waste activity, any activity that consumes the resources, that's what, as I told already, consume the resources, but it creates a no value, like transportation, waiting time. It won't give you anything because we are waiting for some time, but the component is waiting for the machine, but there is none of the business for the customer, whether the product is waiting on. I have paid, you have to deliver on time. If not, I will go for the next person or next product, next company brand product. So that's the way they're asking. So that is the way we have to start. So we have to talk about this wasting in the process. So that's what, when talking about the value added and non-valued activity. So as I told you, we have type 1 and type 2 activity when I'm talking about the non-value added, because how we are going to eliminate it within immediately, but type 2 activity cannot be eliminated, but thing is we have to analyze and we have to study and we have to observe, and finally we have to go and reduce. That's when we have to categorize the non-value activity. Generally, most of the time, the 95% activity, that's what generally the thumb rule they're talking about. Whenever we are doing a process time of any component, so 95% of the total process time is a non-value activity. How we are going to reducing this non-value added activity? That's what minimizing your wastages is one of the major one. So as a different kind of the representations by non-value added and non-value value added and non-value added, my perspective. So valuable effort, cost, time, money, its value. So that's what they're talking here. Sometimes we have to categorize into the totally pure waste, maybe less effort, but how we are going to minimizing its waste. So that's the way they categorize into the value added, non-value added. Okay, so come to the lean thinking. So how we are going to finding the wastages? That's one of the major question here. So when we are moving the material from one location to other location, so there the major time is the person who's handling, person who's transporting, and the time spent for the person. So these, because the cost involved for the labor and the material movement, the machines, so everything, the cost is involved. So the transportation is a major thing when talking about the wastage. That's what you see the example most of the time. Yeah. So transportation most of the time, when I saw already previous example, most of the time the transportation is the major cost, and the duplication of hard copies and filling wasted paper, staff time and storage space. This is one of the major one. Even in our career also, in education sector also, this is one of the major one here. So the duplication of n number of hard copies. So think about the paper wastages, how we are going to e-paper concepts, how we are going to implement the entire e-paper concept. Whenever you need, you have to take it from the different reports and other things where you need, you have to take it. Otherwise, you have to take it from the online itself. That's what they're talking about, the most important way of finding the waste. Okay. So the next thing is we generally called 7 waste, but now they added one more waste in most of the industries by underutilization of people. This is also another one of the wastages, because we are not utilized properly your people. So that's also one of the wastages in the, if we are talking about the lean thinking. So generally we call the overproduction. So the customer needs, but we are producing more than that one. So that's also called overproduction. Inventory is one of the most important factor. Waiting time and motion and run, as I told, waiting time, motion and transportation. Rework somewhat is okay, but thing is rework every time we have to design your components in such a way how this scrap to be handled in different way to use it for the other purposes. But rework is also another important one. Sometimes if you are if you are produced as per your design, maybe the possibilities of rework, but it's maybe less time, less things only. But other things called over processing, that's another important factor when you're talking about the lean thinking in wastages. There are generally 7 wastages. We can say 7 mudas also. So when talking about the lean thinking, so the lean thinking maybe a lean manufacturing. So whenever we have been talking about the lean manufacturing, the work study come in the picture here, because the work study, we want to identify the unwanted elements, unwanted time which is spent in your process. So that's what we're talking about, the common between the lean manufacturing and work study. So the motion which is involved and processing steps and utilization of people, and the time at which waiting for the component to be processed, waiting time, and the transportation time. Apart from the lean manufacturing, we have been concentrating because it's the common features between the lean manufacturing and work study. But when you're talking about lean manufacturing, the company have produced overproduction, they stored a lot of inventory and the number of defects. It is not talking about in the work study, but in this work study, mainly we are talking about the time related and how we are going to reducing your reducing the unwanted activities, unwanted elements present in your system. So that's what they're talking about. The work study is one of the major process system which have been used in the lean manufacturing. Okay, so is one of the small video. It shows that how the lean management, lean principle can be used in one of the
Let's say your business
food
is
industry.
doing well and you're thinking of expanding. And that's great, but it's also the riskiest time for your business. In fact, many businesses don't survive the transition.
I think your
Should you
videos
throw money
somewhat
at
is
the
clear.
problem by investing in new equipment or hiring more people?
Yes,
Should
sir.
you make
It's audible.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hit the problem by investing in new equipment or hiring more people? Should you make your staff work more overtime? Your answers to questions like these can make or break your business. And that's where Lean comes in. Lean is a philosophy about delivering value from your customer's perspective, eliminating waste, and continuously improving your processes. Lean can radically change the way you do business. Lean management is based on 4 principles. The first principle is pull. Rather than producing as much as possible, customer demand pulls goods or services through the manufacturing process. This minimizes overproduction, inventory, and ultimately working capital. The second is one-piece flow. Focusing on one single piece at a time minimizes work in progress, process interruptions, lead and waiting time, while increasing quality and flexibility. The third is tact. It's the heartbeat of a lean system. It's how fast you need to manufacture a product to meet customer demand. Tact allows us to balance work content, achieve a continuous flow, and respond flexibly to changes in the marketplace. And the fourth is 0 defects. Mistakes happen, but a lean company doesn't pass on defects. Mistakes from previous steps must be fixed before going on. Combined with a robust continuous improvement process, the 4 principles of lean management will help your company stay ahead of the competition in a constantly changing marketplace. So, if you're ready to begin your lean journey, contact us today. Let us.
So this is only one of the video. So you can understand about the lean manufacturing. So if you have overproduction and also how we are going to one piece flow of your producing your product depends upon how you are going to reducing your wastages based on your how you are going to fix with your machine tool. Because I want to machine a 5 mm diameter, I can't use it for the big machine tool. Instead of that, a small machine tool, how we have to use it to fit to manufacturing. So it's like a way you have to scheduling your activities to fit it for which one is fitted for your process and how the need of the customer, whether the customer expecting high accuracy, high precise component. Based on the requirements of the customer, you have to design your layout and system. That's what nowadays most of the companies they are looking about in this particular aspect. So we have a small space. I have only because even we are building construction companies also, we have a small space. How we are going to construct based on the requirements of the customer. So whether it's maybe a 2 floor or maybe 3 floor, so you have to fulfilling the requirement of the your customer. You have to design the layout at which you have to start. Because I already have constructed a number of houses. Whether you can't know the need of your customer, but you are producing a number of buildings, but we cannot sell it. That's what nowadays the real estates are. They are feeling, they are bearing a lot of cost, which is involved when they are manufacturing a number of apartments in Chennai, in all all big cities are facing this, capital cities are facing this particular problem. So come to the principles of lean. Here is one of the major one here. When talking about the principles of being, we always call Tim by Woods, the 9 sinful wastages generally called. So when this is one of the principle you should always put in a Tim by Woods. So Tim, T is a transportation. So how you are going to moving things from one place to other place. So the technological point of view, it maybe changes are happening, but thing is how we are going to minimizing your transportation. So such a way you have to making your design layout of your system. So in other ways you have to alternate, because I have done some of the consultancy works for the industries to study, observe their layout, and we have to propose a different kind of layout for their system. But problem is implementation point of view, the cost involved. So mostly because they have to want to conduct a study how we are going to fit with the system. So that's what most of the industries they're looking about, the without investment how we are going to minimize it. That's what most of the time they're asking this particular question. Now they due to this current pandemic situation, some of the medium scale industries, they're looking about the change into the current technology for the low cost automation point of view they're talking here. So the inventory is one of the major one here. There is no inventory. If you know about all red taxis, or maybe you can say Zomato or Ola, you can say Swiggy, they cannot own their restaurant or own their cars or something, but how they are managing without inventory, they are managing this all to connecting the people, to connecting the networking the people at which they are making the money like that. So the inventory is on the major one here. The motion, the movement, that's one of the most important one. When talking about the motion, that's what the motion study is one of the major impact in work study. So how we are moving our hand to communicating with your machine tools and communicating with your product. But thing is the motion study, minimizing your motion at which we can make effective in your productivity. That's what. So the motion study is one of the major one. We are using a number of concepts in motion study and also the time study. So that's what one of the major principles of lean. So when we are going for the lean in industries, this one is major one. That's what nowadays they're talking about the vision system to capturing their movement, and finally it may be converted to the automation. So that's what most important thing is. When you're going to make automation, the motion, how we are using our hand to do the operation. So instead of that, the robo, that's what robotic way of lean automation will come in the picture. So that's why the robo motions are mostly they're using with our hand aspect, our hand aspect. They are making this one. Okay. Then the inspection, the another important one, because visual observations are a major one. Now in our college also we have deployed a lot of vision systems. Starts from the after manufacturing, they're putting their in the particular bowl. All components are putting the bowl, so it is categorized and go with the conveyor and checking the all inspection. It come out of the system whether it's maybe accepted or rejected within the 12 seconds, because they are expecting 6 seconds to complete the job, be done with the 12 seconds. But thing is the inspection to be a visual. So the single orientation, how many number of observations we can make using your camera. So that's what. So even though its cost is involved, but thing is if you have come with the entire investment on the cost and whatever you are producing your good and the end result, it may be increasing your productivity and minimizing your cost. But initial investment cost is very high. But thing is in the end result, the cost of production it will be minimized. That's the way they're talking about the inspection, because the rejection rate to be reduced, and we easily can identify the defects and with which we can go for a rework or maybe a reuse on that one. The inspection. So waiting time is one of the major one, because this is only how we are properly or scheduling. And because if we have more waiting time, we can install more machines. Easily anyone can say the suggestion, because who's going to invest that one? So the waiting time is one of the major one. But this is also one of the important feature, how you are going to schedule your production. So major one here. Overproduction, sometimes because we are working in production planning, so there we are always looking about what's the requirement of the next month or maybe in after 6 months. So based on this, sometimes we are producing more than what you need. but problem is how we are going to overcome this one, because most of the industries they're struggling. It depends upon, suppose if you see automobile industry now they're struggling, now somewhat they managed. So based on your order, based on your requirement only, they started producing in the company. They have some kind of basic skeleton. Then once you are ordered, they started to prepare. So the delivery time they will given to you. That's why they started to avoiding this kind of overproduction. Then over processing. So doing more than is required to achieve. So that's another important over processing. Sometimes how you are going to properly or scheduling your processing activities. Then the defects, results that are not right when they delivered. So this is another, but that's what the inspection is one of the major one here. How you're going to avoiding these defects in the process, in process condition or inline condition itself. So another important thing is there, the defects point of view. Then the final one, we can say underutilized their skills, because whatever we have been talking about, the concept of implementing the lean, the major problem is how we are going to utilizing the resources of the people. So the lean mainly from the general aspect and the underutilization of skills are very, very important. So how you are going to trust your brain, because we only developing the system, we are producing, we only designing. So but thing is how it may be affecting your the end result, on how you are going to come fulfilling the customer, and how you are going to satisfy your customer. From the person as a customer, as a producer, you should think in this aspect. So these are the 10 I would say is a 9 sinful ways. Generally, we are talking about the principles of lean. Okay. Next one is that's the same as I told already when talking about principles of lean. So the 9 sinful ways, and also we can say the different way of types of ways, the 7 modas. As I told, so defects and rework and transportation, motion and walking, unnecessary motion and walking, and waiting and searching is another important one, because waiting, or we can say, but searching, finding the right component or finding the component to load it in the system, and inventories not be properly analyzed, and overproduction and ineffective process. So sometimes the process to be under over processed or something. So those kind of situation we cannot go for the rework. So that's the way they're looking about the principles are leaving 7 modas point of view. The same thing also we are talking about the principles are leaving transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, and overproduction, over processing, because sometimes the same process to be duplicated. So once every time the process to be after the suppose you are making a turning and drilling, instead of that making a drilling process are completed, we can go for turning or drilling. So like that you have to couple the process. Sometimes maybe over process, waiting for each and every time you go for the repeated operations. So and defects and skills, one of the major one here, because skills, as I told already, the skills underutilization of the people, and the people those who are not listened, so they cannot correct their mistakes. These are the one of the major problem what looking about the lean implementation of lean in this week. Okay, so the next one is the same aspect. So mostly the industry point of view, why I'm taking this particular slide, repeating this slide, the industry point of view in technological way of current industry 4.0, the mostly they're looking about the transportation point of view and the motion point of view, and other important thing is waiting, because we are processing, inventory, overproduction, this depends upon each and every company. But thing is, the most of the time the transportation, wherever you are doing any kind of activity, the transportation is involved and motion is involved, and the time for waiting, there's another major one here. So how we are going to minimizing these things? These are the 3 major points we have to consider when you're going for deployment in the lean deployment in the industry. So the transportation and motion and waiting period. For example, see the person who is going to ordering some kind of burger, but thing is, so what are the process involved? So what the customer have to pay for this burger, because burger is around 60 rupees or 70 rupees. So the person who is make a profit, but thing is, so what are the things are there? So he has to make a raw material, then for the supporting accessories and electricity, then the person who's inspecting and taking it out of order, then there you have to invest something at the advertisement. So many factors are involved. But which critical factor significantly affecting the cost of your operation? So operation cost that you have to look. So where you have to take your cost. So and other aspect like how whether you are employed or trained or not. So then among this you are going to make it your profit. So that's what when you start from starting from the burger itself, how we are going to taking it, because if you go with any, if you see n number of shops are coming in nowadays in each and every road shop, but how they are making a profit for each and every burger. Sometimes maybe a small mobility vehicles are coming in the picture. Instead of that, they're installing in the renting the shop, and they're making this business. They change it for their decorating these all items and wasting your money. Instead of that, how the mobility. So that's what now they're thinking in lean way to do to attracting the customer expected, because don't want to come to our place. I can come there. So from your place, then you can order it. We can manufacture it. We can prepare it. We can give it to you with freshly. So like that they started. Instead of that, investing on this so many materials and decoration items in the shop and rental and everything, electricity. Instead of that, they're making it a mobility. So that's what the lean thinking. So understanding the waste in the different aspect. That's what each and every industry they have to link, because I'm talking about the food industry. If you go with the manufacturing, if you go with the healthcare, because nowadays healthcare also, once upon a time you have to wait for the doctor for a long time. Instead of that, nowadays initially they started to checking their temperature, and initially they're checking your pressure conditions in the stage 1. Then the stage 2, they started to a doctor for training. They're observing your the basic conditions. Then you have to report it to the main doctor. So the main doctor will see this all report quickly and grasp it, and then we can time at which to spend on you to unnecessary, because you know that the first preliminary things like checking your temperature, pressure, and preliminary observations already done by the other 2 stages. The third stage, the expert directly come there and can see, and he is reducing the time and making more number of service to the patients. So that's the way they started thinking in the healthcare also. There also, instead of that, the availability of nurse. There is, if not available nurse, now the automation systems are coming in the picture. They install a lot of temperature devices and checking your temperature. Then you can report it to a page, not in the printer format. Nowadays, doctors also, they're using the tab at which once you are registered, they scan it, then it go to the report, the doctor, when you are entered, say your name, then it automatically display all your items. Then where they're taking this all informations, then they'll give you a prescriptions. So now the changes are happening, the lean way of changes are happening. That's what these all wastages and types are there. What are the causes of these wastages? So then what are the symptoms? Because mostly when you're talking about all wastages starts from overproduction to additional extra unnecessary over processing and untradition of skill of labor, everything will come in the picture. Okay, so this is what mostly we have to concentrate on in this particular dimension. So the lean thinking point of view, we have to always, you have to take about the define the value, because you have to identify the value of what the customer expects, what the customer express, and you have to map the value with your process, and wherever we have to possible to eliminate, you have to eliminate it, and finally you are going to create the flow. Then the flow at which you have to identify what are the steps involved, making a smooth flow of your process without any delay, and you have to push it to the pulling system where the demand records, then it may be serviced. Then you have to go for the perfection. So once you are established, you have to establish your pull system, because based on your order, you have to start do your process. Then you can servicing between the minimum time, just in time, minimum time at which you have to make, you have to prepare it all. Instead, because if you want a burger, so you have to have your bun and other elements to be cooked. Then finally you have to process it. If the customer asking a burger with cheese or burger with chicken something, So you have to ready-made with all. Maybe this time at which the quality is also very important that you have to look at. And finally, you have to serve to the person within 3 minutes or 5 minutes, where the customer expecting good quality and lesser time, lead time at which to getting their product. This is what mostly they're talking about the lean thinking point of view. So as I told, the same concept I'm looking in the way specifying the value, and because value of the customer, because customer is only your major, because if you're not properly customer, if you're not considering the value of your customer, you're going to lose it your customer. So that's very important. So the specifying value of your customer, because ultimately your business, the customer is the most important one. You have to repeatedly come to your system, making a value flow properly, and identifying the creating the value stream. That's what is one of the major one here. Then you are making a value flow properly, and you're making a full production system, starts from stage by stage based on your customer demand, each and every sequence of flow without any delay. Then you are striving for the perfection. So that's what the topic we're talking here. So when talking about the traditional thinking, so cost and profit will come in the price here, but lean thinking, the price minus you are reducing, you are minimizing your operation cost at which you are making your profit. That's what one of the major one here when talking about the cost way of to thinking your lean principle. So the price minus cost. Once upon a time, so they're talking about the whatever the cost, running cost plus the price, then the profit. Then only they're fixing the price. But now they're totally different. How we are going to minimizing your cost? That's what talking here. When talking about the cost, so the cost is involved about the activities, which is essential, value added, and waste. So how we are going to waste activities, the minimizing your waste at which you can get your maximum profit. That's what they're talking about the cost via production principle. The same, I think, how the traditional thinking, we are not aiming for the customer, we are only looking for what we have, how we are going to sell to the customer. But thing is, in lean manufacturing, the same thing, but thing is, we are aiming for the customer, but thing is, we are going to reducing the time and the way at which we are to using our system, minimizing the wastage at which you are going to fulfilling the customer expectation. So that's what the conventional production system. So each and every station to be individual, independent. But thing is, how when you are moving from one location to other location. So instead of that, how your labor should be changed according to your requirement. So based on the how you are going to optimizing your workflow, based on how you're going to optimizing your motion, transportation, inventory, and space requirement, time, quality, and cost. So, so far what we discussed about the principles of lean, but finally, when coming into the how we are going to implement the lean, that's how you're going to make a lean deployment in industry, in particular with what are the various lean methods and tools. I think lessons are somewhat I have touched with this all concepts, but these are the major methods which have been used in most of the industries, with the maybe combination of this or maybe some kind of a specific method from Poke-Yoke or maybe SMAD, single manufacturing die, exchanging of dies, or so depends upon the industries. They have a combination of this all. Now each and every industry they are looking in different perspective, because yeah, I went some of the industry in craftsman automation in Coimbatore. They may be focusing on Kaizen principle, change for better. So change for better, if the process is going on, so if the changes are the betterment of improvement of your productivity, so immediately they are asking to change the process. That's the way they started. So they're every week they're asking the people to discuss, and suppose I'm placing a tool here, instead of placing a tool in the particular station for use for the next one, so you have to change it immediately like that. They started change for the betterment. So that's the way they are using this principle wherever you're going. So every team, they're working on this particular aspect. They started to reducing the wastages and unnecessary movements they're happening in the each and every business. So that's what the most of the industries are looking about using this kind of tools. There are a number of tools are there, as I told already. So most of the tools now they're talking about value stream mapping, so one of the most important one, and other activities like Six Sigma. already have talking. So VSM and Six Sigma now is emerging like anything. So the TPM also to include in the Six Sigma. That's not a big deal because the productivity, because total productive maintenance, which is already evolved in a long time before. So what are the concepts we are saying already it happened a long time before. So these are the various tools when talking about the lean methods, lean tools and methods. So standardizing the work, that's what the work study, how you're going to breaking your number of jobs, break down the number of elements of your jobs, and you are going to examine it, and you have to find out which one is unwanted activity. That's what the work study will happen here. It's a combination of method study and time study. Then the workplace organization, 5S concept, you are going to sort it and set in order, shine it and standardize. These are the 5S concept, which is already most of the industries are using now. But still, the problem is in India proper training and visual factory. Now, I think industry 4.0, these all are invented in different way. That's what the next my slide will talking about the industry 4.0, how this all will come in the picture. Then the pose also another important point of view storage. That's another important factor here. Most of the time, the location of parts, raw materials are the most important. So how proximity to your system, the process station, that's very, very important. This also, most of the industries are struggling to identify the location of the parts. So that's why nowadays they're talking about the lot of scanning systems, which we have entered into the different locations at which they have observed. So previously, before 10 minutes, where the station of where the particular product stayed. So like that, easily they identified using a number of smart sensors. So the Kanban system, because it's a signing system or card-based systems, total productive maintenance, value stream mapping is one of the most important time here, because nowadays most of the industries we are working with Rolls-Royce and Bengal, we are using a value stream mapping and simulation work. We are done with I am one of the facilitator, but one of our innovation center, one of our faculties are involved in connecting with value stream mapping. One of my students also working with value stream mapping. They are using simple regression techniques at which to identifying the wastage of this streamlining their workflow, because MNCs are mostly they're working about before they coming into the system, how you're going to design the mapping of flow of your work. So that is there mostly they concentrating on, and after optimizing it only they have to go for their manufacturing. The takt time is another important one, because what are the available work time, because we cannot overload the person. So based on your customer demand per day, so based on the available work time, you have to engaging and giving the lead time to your customer. So takt time is already another important time to calculation of your system. Okay, so that's what when talking about the lean manufacturing. So and combining with the work study. So the tool for analyzing the process and tool for reducing your wastage based on your different principles in lean manufacturing, in work study, and wastage of motions. Similarly, you can use it 5S concepts, and you can use different process charts and tools for reducing your unutilized people. So that's also the other important working concepts and why analysis and process chart also. So if you're comparing with your lean and work study, so how you are going to reducing your waiting time, reducing your transportation time, reducing your unnecessary inventory time. So like that, we can go using the n number of the lean concepts like Pocoyoco, one piece flow. So like that, they started to implementing the concept. So in particular with zero defects, zero maintenance, the TPM and you can say jigs and pictures, exchange of dice are come in the picture. So the lean tools are 5S visual management tools. These tools are already, I think most of them are very known about this particular concept. 5S tool, sort, set, sign, and standardize and sustain. Then the other important tool is the value stream mapping. So how the information, material flow, and lead time between your process. This also how we are going to reducing your lead time and to increasing to reducing your process time to delivering to your customer. So it's one of the holistic approach of entire current state system because it indicates where the wastages are come in the picture. So one of the important value stream mapping. So each and everyone should know, those who are working for research perspective, so research R&D, then most of the time they are working with the VSM. A lot of softwares are available because we conducted some of the lectures on this particular VSM only for VSM for 2 to 3 days training. Then takt time calculations also is a very important one. So how you are going to be balancing your takt time? So that's another important one, because cycle time between and on the time at which how we are going to deliver the end product with your customer demand based on your working time available and the customer demand. So these takt times are calculated in the value stream mapping in between each and every processing of your workflow. Then the next important thing is how we are going to implement the lean. There are 5 steps are involved. So first step is collect the data, analyze the data, and design the change, and make the change and measure the benefit. That's what the first thing is. The collecting the data is the first, because observation is the first one, and where you are going to identify the next stage is when analyzing the data, when you're working with the cross-functional team, you're always talking about the undesirable effects. So because sometimes it may be unwanted activities, you have to find it by the cross-functional teams. Then you have to design the changes and make the changes by giving the appropriate training. This is one of the major problem. Most of the industries, training and maintenance, one of the major one. Then you have to inspect and measure the benefits of your change. So how they lean to be sustainable is one of the major one, because when industry are looking about the lean system, the rules and tools are very, very important one, because lean start with the rules, not tools. That's very, very important one, as I told already. So tools are there always, but the thing is how you are going to frame the rules. There are 4 rules generally talking here. So you have to always structure your activity, and you know that how your each and every activity. Suppose I want the color, this color, I want this particular tire size, I want this particular component dashboard in the system. So like that, based on your customer need, so one piece flow. So each and every component to be manufactured as per your, suppose the product number 1 in station 1 is the supplier 1. So product number 2 in the customer station 2 maybe based on the supplier 2. So depends upon how you are going to connecting the customer and supplier point of view. That's very, very important one. So you have very clearly on this particular one, and specify and simplify each and every flow. So and improve through experiment at the lower level possible, because this is very, very important one. As much as possible, we make it very, very easy for your system. That's what structure every activity, clearly connect your requirement of the customer, internal or maybe external. Then the rule 3 is very simple. You know that how the flow of your material, information and product. And finally, improve your through experimentation. Sometimes every problem is an opportunity to focus and move you towards the ideal state, because the decision making in each and every activity is already made, because you have to wait for your superior. So that's what each and every stage you have to discuss and finalize. We have to conduct to focus on your the benefit for your customer. So that's what there are various pros and cons, but generally being a lean, because a lot of benefits are there, because financial point of view, customer quality point of view. But thing is, when talking about the resisting a lean, you need a cultural changes, because this is one of the major problem. Most of the industries, wherever they're going, there is always they're looking about the compliances about the system. So that's what these are the various benefits of the system of your lean. Then when you're talking about lean transformation, so generally we called as tools are only 10%, but remaining, as I told already, is a cultural change. That's what we have to come from this particular perspective. So I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit late, because on a major point I want to discuss here. So when talking about the lean deployment in industry, you know that whether it's maybe company small or, but how we are going to make a lean process improvement. If the company is in servicing business, or the company cannot affordable for the lean process improvement. But thing is, all the questions are, it's a very basic question, but thing is, all of these industries can use the lean. Even any industry, if we go with any small shop also, we can use the lean principle. But we have to study and observe. That's what most of the business, if you go see a small business vendors are nowadays coming in the road shops with a lot of shops also. You can see there are a lot of mushroom players are competing is they studied on the existing system, how you're going to minimize their waste or minimizing their activity to better serve for the customer with a better quality. So that's what the most of the time trying. There are a lot of stages of the implementation of your lean in industries. So the standard thing is how you're going to use the first you have to identify the root cause of the analysis, then finally you go with using these particular tools and study it and measure it and inspect it. Then you have to standardize and finally go for the your verification. Finally, so we result for the end customer point of view. So we have connected some of the mills in Coimbatore. We went for, so they tried with the different kind of aspect. There are a lot of quality issues, but how they're changing with the visual management aspect. See, so local mills, they have whether the machine is running or not, or whether having any failure. So the indication of visual management are the major one here. So visual displays, visual controls, these are the one of the major one. Most of the industries they're looking about, in particular with the textile industry. We've done some of the studies on this particular industries. Then categorizing of the storage of material using the 5S concept, using the indication of labeling, identification storages, and the digital boards, how much quantity, how much visual impacts happen. So these are the very important aspect of when you're going to find out the solutions for any industry using the your 5S or visual OKOK or maybe 5S concepts. So these are the various color codes of identification of your materials and the storages to locate it in the proper flooring markings and walkways and restricted areas. So like that, they have to start to find out the issues. That's why they're using a 5S concept, and you can use visual controls and visual displays at which we have to show to ensure that the proper employees are proper doing, they are making awarding, appreciating, and proper training. These are the very important ones. So that's what, otherwise we go for the next one is go for changing the design. So we're changing the design at which you are minimizing your defects, and if you have any variation or any fabric changes also. So these are the factors we have to identify, critical factors we have to identify, and you have to change it from your from the design. So when you are going to applying the textile industries, because we conduct some of the basic things, but we are tough to implement. It's difficult to implement. We submit the report, but they implemented or not, we don't. But thing is, we tried with some of the basic things with connecting the visual management and 5S concepts. So come to the most important topic of your lean automation and industry 4.0. Everyone knows that. So it starts from industry 1 to industry 4. Now we are striving towards the industry 4.0, where we have been talking about the cyber physical system, where all integration of all networks and sensors and actuators and connecting the robots at which to taking a decision making without the intervention of a human, at which we are making all information about your system to be into the dashboard, to monitoring the entire activity, and we can control over your entire production site. But that's why the new paradigm shift is happening. But however, there's an old concept of computer integrated manufacturing, but we have driven through a modern information and communication devices. That's why the ICT, Information Communication Technologies, we are using a modern technology at which integrating the automation technology into the lean manufacturing. So because we can go, because due to this current potential of the availability of current technology like smart sensors, smart actuators, smart machines, so will come in the picture. There is, we can't go because we have to try to use the integration of this ICT in your system, at which you are going to enabling your the activities and increasing your productivity and increasing your quality. At the same time, how you are going to minimizing your cost. So that's what now the lean automation, mainly how we are integrating the automation technology into the lean production. But thing is, how effectively can you utilize for your low cost intelligent automation. So that's what is very, very important. Low cost automation we have talking here, but how it should be intelligent, how it will give you some kind of information to you. So what way it will give you the information about you, how you are going to make a decision. So whether you are continuously getting, whether you are we have a smartwatch here, so we are saying that how many number of steps we have taken today, whether how many number of slept hours, like that whether we are making alarm. So everything we are making the smart variable. And also you say that your mobile phone, what we have, it will give you all kind of informations about your entire system, entire mobility, your motions will record it here. So you know that where you are now in 9 o'clock, where you are in the evening, like that it will say about based on your communication, based on your positioning system. So easily I can identify. So similarly, how this kind of technology will help you to do this one. So lean automation will come in the picture here with autonomous of mobile robots, autonomous of the arrangement of layouts in the sequence of order at which we can performing in the single take, we can performing all the job, finally getting your end product. So that's what the industries are now they looking about the how effectively minimizing the human intervention and the minimizing your transport, minimizing your motion at which we have to controlling with the robotic way of the lean automation. As I told already, the connectivity between the human development in with respect to the performance, we could say initially the process or including the value added, non-value added, and the activities of Muda, but slowly we go into the lean manufacturing. So and implementing the concentrating on the traditional way of reducing your unwanted activities. So then it goes to into the lean production where the automation involved, semi-automations involved. Then the all non-value activities are reduced. Now we are using the industrial IoT platform. All smart sensors will give you about the all information about defects and the movements of your material and the location of all your parts dynamically with the current state. Easily we can go with reducing your all your non-value added activities, so increasing your performance. So that's what. So the whatever the value, whatever your value given for your customer, so directly you know that what's the customer value, so directly linked with your customer supports and satisfaction. So when you're talking about the implementation of lean automation, always looking about the process, you have to look at the process, what way you have to integrate it. That's about the first one. So how we're going to connect it with your fulfilling your customers' needs first. Because when you are going to focus your automation, so you have to always creating what the customer needs and how we are going to design your automation. So we cannot fix with a simple system, with a fixed system. Instead of that, a flexible system. It can be if a customer needs are changed, how you are going to change your automation system. That's what the first foremost important is. Look at the processes where how you are able to integrating your operations at which based on your customer need and also the possibility of change according to your customer expectations or varies. So how you are going to flexibility in your automation system. For that, what kind of smart machine tools or smart systems we are using in your process. And examining, this is one of the major one here, because people who create the automation process always face criticism because they think that minimum human intervention means we are going to eliminating their job. But thing is, even the person who's designing your automation, so there is a job carrier will change into the design of your automation systems. So such a way, you're going to identify the people, then share their experiences at which how they're going to involve in that particular process. So maybe you can add your consultant also to ensure that how we are going to people think about the automation process, and finally how we are going to train them and keeping them to be value in their system. That's what the new automation facilities are created by a number of industry, but thing is they are not educated properly. So that's one of the major problem here. So how we are going to make this cultural changes in your creating in your work environment. That's what one of the major problem in when you're going to implementing your lean automation. Then come to the last important thing is, the most important thing is consider tools and technology, because even I know that I can easily integrate the system, I can train the people, but problem is what kind of technology we have to add, whether what kind of sensor, because the sensors play the major role. Because when we are working with our mobile phone, you know that almost 15 to 16 sensors we are daily living with 15 to 16 sensors. It will give you the all kind of creating a lot of data. How this data to be analyzed, that's one of the major one. But thing is, when talking about the lean point of view, how these data can be transformed into the using for the decision making, ultimately to connecting with your end product, how this end product to helping your satisfying your customer or maybe helpful to your customer product. So that's what is one of the major one here, because focus on the automation, but thing is focusing on your what kind of machinery, how the machinery can be achieved with the less cost. This is one of the major one. So training, as usual, as I told, whenever your technology is varying, whenever you're changing your tools, latest tools, the training is one of the most way. Then only they improve their job, they're loving their job, do their work properly. So then we're getting your better quality product from the worker, because the educating them is one of the major one when you are using this kind of new technologies and tools in the system, because it is because then only they will know that so they cannot they will involve and do to associate with the product. Then other things like these are three important steps when talking about the lean production point of view. Come to the one of the major framework nowadays, most of them are working in this one when talking about the lean automation point of view, because when the order happening from the marketing point of view, how you are the Kanban system, Kaizen, and we have to make a different kind of servers which have been capture your entire system connected with your network layer, where it connecting all your sensors and your start and stop of your all programmings and the human machine interfacing softwares, HMI, HMI systems will connecting in the cyber physical system. That's what the CPS we called. CPS now emerging like anything in all industries. Though this particular framework will connect to the all your signboards, all your visual controls, all your sensors, all your controls of your system. So to take the decision to sitting in the place to monitor the entire activity. So that's what whenever you are making your framework of your lean automation, the mainly concentrate on how your each and every sensor to be cope up with or maybe enabling with the different systems, like how it can be easily going to communicate. It's a plug and play kind of thing. That's what I want to communicate here. How these hardwares and drivers and these all protocols easy to adjust with the interfacing with the other systems. Such a way you have to framework of your whatever you're choosing, because at the lean manufacturing I can say that you can use this particular machine, you can use this particular sensor, but it is how to adapt to these, how you're going to interfacing with the existing system, whether what's the accuracy, what's your range. So like that we have to ask this question. So this way we have to start our lean automation with the current framework. So if one of the simple example is a lot of workstations will come in the here. One of the problem statement also will given from the L&T Technologies, TechGM, they given us a modular workstation. So this is what we also working, but thing is, the problem is they are asking about the low cost automation. The person who's enabling, person who's taking a two-handed process chart, instead of that, how effectively can you use the tool whenever you need, whenever the change of your product in the online. So whenever you are changing your system, whenever changing your product based on your customer need, so automatically you're going to drive towards to take those kind of respective tools. So that's what. So the major thing is you have to minimize your setup time and your workstation to be adaptable to the your modular structure, where you can use it for different applications or different components also. So another video, I think from this video, so one of the video, if you could see here, a flexible workstation is all are combined together. Finally, one particular station. So the modular adjustment tables. So height adjustment tables are come in the picture. So they have to work it with for different kind of products of customer products, because the customer one wants a height of maybe a different shape, different size, because they have women workers or maybe a gen workers, women or maybe female or male workers. Depends upon their height adjustments are very important. So that's a way you have to design with the lean cost. That's what they always they thinking about the lean way. That's what they are making this kind of different modular workstations easily to configure into the system. So this is what one of the most important one nowadays companies are looking in the lean automation point of view in the industry 4.0. So as I told already, so industry 4.0 with the lean production using the different kind of Kanban and the main industrial principles, you need a smart operator. So smart operator, that's what we are talking about. One of the technology we call augmented reality, where they'll give you the training with all what's going to happen in the remaining cycle time of this particular product. So based on your wearable devices, and smart product will know the all end card, so it will show in your dashboard. So where it stands, which particular station, what's the process condition, everything we can make it about the smart product. And smart machines, so it will always interfacing with all your system, so it will immediately indicate your failures and defects if whatever maybe is there. Then the planner is one of the major one here. Now n number of algorithms, if you're giving the information, it will give you the all new kind of arrangement, scheduling arrangements automatically. That's what algorithms are play the major role for the IT people. IT systems are reconfiguring your entire production line within this particular simulated time. So the smart planners, smart machines, smart products, and smart operators will lead into the lean automation in the current industrial scenario. So lean is a proven method because initially 3 to 4 decades before, without any investment, they started about the lean thinking point of view. So systematically they are making approach to eliminating the waste and resulting in good production. But as I told, it's not a full manufacturing program, only confined to only for the shop floor of employees. It may be worked from the each and every stages of any process. So lean is every system, every process, every employee within this organization. So industry 4.0 and lean production do not eliminate each other. So, but together they can add value to the customer and the users, whatever maybe is there. Because we cannot avoid that the transferring of existing industry 4.0 solutions to lean production and implementing the cyber physical system, because we cannot say futuristic is like a building blocks where each workstation should be modular and they can based on your customer needs and based on the product we can change it. So we cannot avoid it, but thing is how the lean 4.0, that's what they're talking about, the lean automation and the industry 4.0 will make a better prospects in the current industrial scenario. So it's always a journey of continuous improvement with perfection unattainable. So we can't say. So lean is one of the system which can be implemented in each and every stages of any process. Even we have to think in the lean way. Okay, so in this aspect, so thanks for the opportunity. Once again, I thank my mentor and teacher, Dr. Karthikeyan sir, for giving me the opportunity. I'm a little go fast, but anyway, I try to cover from my perspective what I am thinking about the lean. That's what my presentation. So thanks for your valuable spending your valuable time. Some are you getting some kind of insights from this particular session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's very much informative session, sir. How the lean thinker always think different than the pessimist and the optimist. This is really a very good information session. I can only say some of the headings of today's discussion in the second session, like 9S, how the wasteful, sinful waste are created, some lean principles to be applied, and some of the lean tools which have to implement in the industry, and some of the work study tools to be implemented, like some of the 5 years to be practiced, and some of the value stream mapping, how to implement lean in the industry, and some of the finest steps to be followed for the lean sustainability, and how we have to think in a cultural change we have to expect in the society for this lean to be incorporated in all sectors of the industry, and how lean deployment in the industry can be possible. What are the steps involved in the implementation of lean and industry 4.0? So all these are very informative sessions, sir. I thank Dr. A. Murugarajan, Professor, Head, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Department of Robotics and Automation, Sri Ramakrishna Engineering College, Coimbatore. I'm very much eager to see you in the last day, the 5th day in the first session also,
Yeah,
sir.
smart.
So
Yeah,
I request all the participants, if any questions, please note down.
yeah.
Definitely, sir, we will share another 15 or 30 minutes in the day 5 first session. They will clear all the doors. At that time, I think we'll all covered all the fundamentals, basics in lean manufacturing. And this is a very much informative session, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So thank
I
you.
thank in behalf of Rajarashwari College of Engineering, Rajarashwari Group of Institutions, and on behalf of principals and participants, I thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. I already have shared my PPT with Kapil, sir. If you have any questions, participants, please, if you can interact with me also. I think I am going to go fastly, but the thing is, the first session is handled by Dr. Devadasan, sir. However, somewhat I have given some kind of highlights here because it takes another. We are conducting 3 days course, 5 days course on MS and under MSMB for certification courses in Lean and Six Sigma. Anyway, I am happy to that you are all involved. So thank you. Thanks for your patience and listening my talk. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you once again, sir.
Yeah.
Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, formally, the session 2 will be closed now. We'll be back and starting the session 3 at 2:50. We will have 45 minutes break, lunch break. So we'll be joining at session 3 at 2:15 p.m.
Thank you, Murugarajan. Murugarajan, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, okay.
Already I have sent the mail to you, sir. Please check it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go through.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So participants, please join at 2:15. Okay, because the AACT coordinator also joined with us in this meeting. So they're monitoring the attendance and other activities. So I expect all the participants to interact with the speakers and attend all the sessions. Okay, thank you. Stop recording.